Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor. We're getting a banger of a video turned around right now. A little, I think, Bogey Bro battle coming out tomorrow. It's being edited right now, so no Connor today, unfortunately. But he's here in spirit. We're going to be talking through Trevor's putter bracket and all the drama that went down.
He's here in person.
No, he's in it, well, but not on the show. He's on the show in spirit.
His audio is in spirit. Just picture him being
We should just given him a mic and just let him just
chime
incoherently ramble throughout the show. Connor, you started the audio,
That's
right?
only for the Patreons.
He did. Head nod.
That's only
Head nod for
only
you.
the Patrons get the ramble.
We're going to talk through Trevor's putter bracket, the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour's decision on the gender divisions, Trevor's trivia, a little off-season player tracking, and then we'll finish it off, if we've got time, with a little Ultiworld fandom survey they put out. Electric episode. But first, quick word from our sponsors. Today's episode brought to you by Manscaped. 'Tis the season for clean balls, laws. Our friends over at Manscaped are...
You still haven't perfected that.
Well, it says balls and then follow
It was funnier when you said it
but I
that
like
way.
the ball, laws. So I'm rolling with that. Our friends at Manscaped are helping you clear your driveway for safe travels this holiday season. From stocking stuffers to white elephants, Manscaped's products are top of everyone's wish list. Grab some crop mops for your pops or the body buffer for your holiday lover. And win this year's gift exchange by going to manscaped.com and using the code GRIPLOCKED for 20% off plus free shipping. They are the one-stop shop for all your holiday needs. They have perfect gifts in the Platinum Package 4.0 plus loads of little presents for stocking stuffers. What a better day holiday gift. What a better day holiday gift. What a better holiday gift, what I was supposed to say, than giving the gift of good hygiene and a few laughs. Manscaped's given us plenty of laughs. Like someone will probably clip the ball moment at the beginning.
Yeah.
That could be you. Don't let your chestnuts roast in the wrong boxers. Get them a pair of Manscaped boxers. I'm rocking some today.
Good for you.
Specifically made to keep the area cool while providing holiday comfort all year round. Manscaped's also here to make the holiday shopping a blast by giving products they'll love and making them laugh. So again, get 20% off and free shipping with the code GRIPLOCKED over at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping. Manscaped.com using the code GRIPLOCKED. Manscaped for a perfect gift that'll be the holiday's biggest hit. Thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring the show, as always.
Y'all.
Manscaped's been one of our most loyal supporters.
There are ride or dies.
If you're a loyal listener, if you're a ride or die listener, and you're not using Manscaped's products, that would be a great Christmas present to us.
Something to think about.
It directly supports the show, so we really appreciate Manscaped there. All right, on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, first off, what are you doing? Secondly, you head over to Twitter, and the account you want to be following is at FDG_Hunter.
I didn't want to be on Twitter this past weekend, man.
So Trevor started his putter bracket last week, and basically, we just got to start from the top. We need to clear the air a little bit here, Trevor.
I want to fact check the mess out of you if you try and slander me.
No, I just want to question you a few. I want to question a few things. Mm-hmm. So you put out a tweet asking for fans' suggestions for your bracket. Were those taken into consideration at all when you made your bracket?
Absolutely. Every single putter included on the bracket did come from a suggestion.
So you just looked through the suggestions and picked ones that you were comfortable putting with to put it on the bracket?
And I never said otherwise.
Okay.
I said from the very beginning, I will take suggestions and make a bracket. I never said every suggestion or top voted suggestion. It was never said.
So you silenced your audience there, then let them speak through the top 16, and then the two putters that you wanted the most, what came out on top, Rainmaker P2.
That was random.
Basically the same putter. And ended with Rainmaker.
Listen, like I said, I never claimed, and I even said this on Twitter, I never claimed that the bracket would be fair. The bracket was...
But then why did you come after me when all I wanted was the bracket to be fair?
Because
all you had to say was, that's just not what it was.
I did say that over and over again. I yelled it from the top of my lungs.
Sure, but you said it behind a lot of name-calling and other words to hide it.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But, and the funny thing is, people were upset about the final being the P2 and the Rainmaker, and they vote once it was up to the votes.
What did they really vote on, though?
What did they vote on?
Because by the time the bracket was made, it was already their voice had already not been heard.
You're right.
So then, what were they really voting?
Their
on?
voice was heard.
Chosen voices. Chosen voices.
You are talking about one putter, basically, which is the Polecat, that you got probably 50 likes on that, and you have 11,000 Twitter followers. So what
I didn't
what you're
actually
basically
tweet it. I responded
suggesting,
to you.
what you're basically saying is like when a certain candidate is running for president and celebrities endorse it, and therefore it gets a lot of votes. Well, yeah, it's because celebrities are talking about it. Like
I would hardly call myself a celebrity.
In the disc golf realm, you are.
Minute disc golfer.
In the disc golf realm, you are. In this election, you were like Robert Downey Jr.
Well, people were coming after me for not subjecting myself to the same thing, and I am more than willing to put 16 putters in a bracket that I hand select and let the people vote on that and then putt with them. Because what's the risk? Of course I'll do that. Who wouldn't do that?
I hand selected, let me be clear again. I hand selected them, but every putter had to be mentioned in the suggestions. It's not like I pulled ones that were not mentioned.
You had like 350 replies. What putter wasn't mentioned?
I can't help it that people wanted to be involved. But that's all I'm going to say on that.
And I think that was where my feelings got hurt the most, is people wanted to be involved so bad, and you just stiff-armed them.
No,
and you said
you
stiff-armed.
The answer, you're saying
you stiff-armed your biggest fans,
yeah.
and
stiff-armed you.
You stiff-armed your biggest fans. That's a fair statement.
Your
biggest fans were stiff-armed.
Here's the scenario, and like I know you're.
And hey, I'm a man of the people, so I used my audience.
Yeah, you got stiff-armed.
I used my audience. I
said,
hey, what would you all rather see? Would you rather? And they voted. They wanted to see the poll stand.
Embarrassing.
And so I let it stand.
You can't even win your own Twitter polls. Embarrassing.
Where was the loss? Where was the winner loss? I wanted to know what the people wanted. All I was there for is to let the people have what they wanted. And the people got what they wanted.
You're a fascist.
I gave people freedom. You silenced.
No, you tried to give them freedom. Where did they go? Crawling right back to me.
But I still gave them freedom. It doesn't matter what they do with said freedom.
I
gave them freedom. I let their voice actually have a platform to be heard, and
it was heard. And I already knew what they were going to say. So I guess I just know my people better.
That's fine. I just let them. I'm just happy to be the platform of freedom, and I'm glad I was able to do that and provide that for them. And that is what it is. It was a tough weekend, I think, for a lot of people out there. I saw a lot of hurt feelings. And you're always welcome on my fan base. You're always welcome over here. No, in all seriousness though, I think you're gonna get very bored of the Rainmaker. I think you're also gonna have a hard time finding them.
Bro, did you see what I putted with for an entire year? It didn't even have a stamp on it.
The Steadies, though, at least the Steadies have a lot of different plastics.
The
Rainmaker has one plastic option, and you can't just like walk onto our shelves and find more. So like if you lose a putter or it gets too beat up, you're gonna be shelling out $30-$40.
All I need is like a handful of them. It won't be that hard. I've had like 10 people offer me trades for them. I've got people that'll take my steadies for them straight up on Twitter. So I'll get my hands on like 6 or so. I've got 2 of them. I need like 4 more, and that'll last me through a year. And I agree. The Rainmaker will not be the most exciting. However, I can try and find older runs from like the originals if I want to spice things up. And the Rainmaker in my mind is like my perfect putter.
Was the old Rainmaker actually a different putter? Or was it originally a P2 that just was like
no? It was always different.
It was always different.
Yeah. It was always a little shallower.
When did it come out?
I believe so. I think they're on like Rainmaker 3 at this point, aren't they? I feel like there's been a couple runs of them. I know there was old ones, but my thing is the Rainmaker I think is my ideal putter because it's in the Flex 3 plastic. It's really stiff. I've always liked the P2, and the only gripe I had with the P2 is
so the Rainmaker just got approved December 30th, 2021.
There was definitely a Rainmaker before.
I think before,
or was it called something else?
I think it was just the P2, just stamped.
And they just stamped it Rainmaker?
Because Simon and Eagle would like have different names for like the Mindbender MD1.
So I think
it was the Rainmaker P2.
Oh, okay.
That's why I think.
Well, whatever.
I'm pretty sure.
Forget that then.
I'm gonna search Rainmaker P2. So this is the new Rainmaker. This is still the new Rainmaker.
I guess that makes sense.
They just never came out with the. There wasn't one before this.
There's no way. I could have sworn
there's the prototypes. Flex 2 Protos.
He had to have had a putter
that came out last year. This time, the Protos.
You're telling me
that's what you're thinking of. You're thinking of this stamp, right?
No,
that's the Proto.
I could have sworn.
So the only ones that exist is that, and then the current Rainmaker, this one.
Let me just look up Eagle McMahon putter because like I swear he had a signature putter. He's been with Discmania forever. Like, are we for reals?
I don't think he did. Because Simon had the Sky God, which is always a C-line P2.
I mean, he had the Samurai and the Cloudbreaker, but I thought he had a putter too. Like, am I crazy?
I think you're crazy.
I might be crazy. All right, I guess I might be crazy. I could have sworn he had Rainmakers before they made the switch, but I guess I'm wrong.
Well, I think the Rainmaker might have come out before the Switch. No, surely not. Well, yeah, because it was approved December 30th, 2021, and Discmania made the whole Switch this year. Am I wrong there?
I'm getting lost in the timeline. I don't know. Somebody fact check us.
Fact check me.
It doesn't matter that much. You're right.
This was approved December 30th, 2021.
You're right in the fact that I'm not going to have a crazy amount of customization, but like the Steady was just like that, and I made it through the year with the Steady, and it was okay. It wasn't it wasn't like torture.
The Steady, you had customization, you just didn't know you had customization.
We still don't know that for sure. We don't know if they're making stone Steadies this whole time. Has not been confirmed.
I think we just didn't have them on the show.
Well, in any case, I didn't have the option.
2023, Trevor will be putting with the Rainmaker. You've also told fans that you will be allowing them to fully customize your bag for a month.
I will do that. Which I think that's fun. I have to. I'll probably wait until I'll probably do that after some certain things get filmed.
Okay, I don't know what he's talking about, but okay.
A little bit closer to the middle of the year. And
then I don't know what I know I have a series I'm going to do. I'll announce it probably January 1st. Why not? For next year that I'm very excited about. And I think we're also have both agreed to be willing to subject ourselves to a punishment putter. Yeah. We don't know the exact details yet, but a fully fan-controlled bracket that is intended to be punishment style. So blowfly, turbo putter, stego, koi, just whatever, birdie.
As long as we're putting with it in a video that isn't a monthly match.
Well, I think we would basically go monthly match, and in the next video we film, that's what you have to use it in. Or we could go super torture and the whole month minus bogey row battles and monthly matches. You got to use it for a month straight before the next monthly match.
No, because then you're never going to be able to use your normal putters. That'd be awful.
Punishment, baby. Don't lose monthly match.
I'm
the one at the deficit here.
You'd literally lose every video for a month. It would get repetitive. That's the thing about the whole putter bracket thing is the whole obviously if I let my fans vote completely, the polecat would win. But you might say this is wrong, but many people would get, including ourselves, would get very frustrated and bored with the fact that I would not win any videos. It would be very repetitive.
I agree with that. Yeah. I just think that's what happened. But then you shouldn't have said the fans were deciding.
Oh, but that's because I didn't. And continue.
Debatable. All right, the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour have restricted transgender women from competing in 2023. The PDGA came out with their rules, and then the Pro Tour came out and basically aligned with certain rules. We talked about this on debate night some, but this obviously came out after Grip Locked, and then a lot has come out since debate night. So we're just going to I'll quickly go over what the PDGA laid out. We'll talk about it a little bit, talk about kind of what's happened since then, and cover it for you. Yes, the PDGA board voted 4, so the number 4, and 3 against the following policy. The votes for were Nate Heinold, Wilbur Wallace, David Schreff, and George Hungerford. And against was Leah Senegini, Laura Noctegal, Conrad Damon. So that's the for and against vote. That came out during the... I
didn't hear about that.
The PDGA puts out their board minutes the day after, I believe, and Ultiworld picked it up and put that out. So for PDGA, this is the policy they voted that got passed. For PDGA amateur majors, pro master majors, and all other PDGA sanctioned at A-tier level and below, the requirements regarding a player's level of testosterone have been lowered from under 10. I believe this was, I wrote it down lower and I already forgot what. Nanomoles per liter. 10 nanomoles per liter for 1 year to under 2 nanomoles per liter for 2 years. So from under 10 to under 2 and from 1 year to 2 year. So that's the testing guidelines there. And then players are only eligible to compete in the gender-based FPO division at PDGA Pro Majors, so Champions Cup, USWDGC, European Open, and Pro Worlds, if they began medical transition during Tanner Stage 2 or before the age of 12, whichever is later. So realistically, the age of 12. Player must also continuously maintain a total testosterone level in serum below 2 nanomoles per liter. Organizations that are specifically designated by the PDGA under terms of an explicit agreement to run Elite Series tours may use any subset of the eligibility criteria above at their events. Application of the chosen criteria must comport with the terms of the agreement with the PDGA. And the Pro Tour came out and said they're going with the major level regulations. So players must begin a medical transition during Tanner stage 2 or before the age of 12, whichever is later, and maintain that below the 2.0 nanomoles per liter. I've seen some valid questions raised regarding this ruling. Two specifically that I've seen. First, that people are questioning where they came up with the under 2 nanomoles per liter level, because a quick Google search will show you that a woman's standard testosterone level is from 0.5 to 2.4 nanomoles per liter. So people are basically saying like 2.4 would have made sense, the top end of like a standard testosterone level, but where did 2 come from?
Yeah.
I haven't really seen an answer to that as to where 2 came from, but 0.5 to 2.4 is what's considered normal. And that, like, if you Google it, it literally is one of those like Google suggested answers where you don't even have to click on anything to find that. Very easy to find. And my personal question, I even asked this on debate night, and I've seen this asked elsewhere, is why are there 2 different standards? For like, why is there a standard for the AM majors, A tier and below events, and masters majors than there is for pro tour and majors? Because if the PDGA feels the only way to make it fair is for a player to have begun transitioning before the age of 12,
right,
then why have the testosterone level be a factor in non-major amateur events and pro tour events? But if the testosterone level is what makes it fair, then why bring in the transition rule?
Yeah,
that one doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, it is weird. It almost feels like a cop out, but like when it feels like but you can still do this type thing. But if you're gonna make that ruling, like you got it. Yeah, I think you have to follow through with it, because you're basically saying like, if what you're saying is we decided that there was an unfair advantage, so we're protecting the majors and the pro tour follows suit. What you're basically saying is it's unfair, so we're protecting our high events, but the lower events
we don't care about.
Yeah, we don't care about you. Like you can still lose somebody with an advantage. That's basically what they just said. So that is very odd.
Either that, or they're saying, well, this gets rid of the advantage, but we're just gonna be like super sure in the pro. And I think this is why we'll talk about it in a second. I think that's kind of where Natalie Ryan has come out saying that she thinks that she's being targeted by this.
Yeah.
I think it's because the split decision there.
Right.
Because like to me, if I'm a player in an amateur major, that's still a major. A player in a pro master major, it doesn't feel less important to them than, like, maybe if a player like Valerie Mandahano, who's won junior majors and majors and now is competing at FPO Worlds, like, sure, I'm sure to her FPO Worlds feels like a bigger deal, but when she was at an AM major, or Gannon Burr when he was winning junior worlds, that major was the biggest deal to them on the face of the earth. Just because it doesn't get as much media coverage or fanfare in disc golf doesn't mean to the players in it, it's not a huge deal.
And it probably too might have been less about a cop out and more of a like, ooh, well, the logistics and resources to like actually enforce this is going to be so hard on that scale, but like it doesn't matter.
Well, logistics and resources, we still haven't seen the PDGA enforce on any scale.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's still the question too, is a lot of people were like, okay, so now like, people are calling them out on the process behind it, right? Of like how they got to this decision. And then B, they're like, okay, now that you've made this decision, are you going to invest the money to be testing for substances? And if you are testing for substances, because essentially the testosterone level would be a substance. Like,
what else are we testing for?
If you're now opening that can of worms up, what else are you testing for? Because what I think this should also bring into question is what happens if you have someone in FPO division just taking testosterone?
Yeah. Or
like, is that also now being brought into the equation?
What if half the field's on steroids? Like, we don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like right now,
I think hopefully
even if you're like if you're on any type of steroids in any division, right now that's allowed because there's no testing. My eye is killing me.
I think that drug testing needs to be a part of the PDGA. Now, what is going to be on the banned substance list, whatever, like I'm sure there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had, and that's not what we're talking about. But I think that drug testing needs to be a part of the sport because it's just part of the ethics of the sport, I think. And if we're already going to kind of get things rolling with this, and there's going to have to be testing involved, I'm sure, then we might as well, figure out. Yeah, so like you just have some, just random drug testing and figure out a banned substance list and you have to have the players. You're not testing everybody every week, right? That's not how testing in sports works. You're picking random players, and so that every player in the league knows that they could be subject to a random drug test. And therefore that will discourage them if they were taking a banned substance. Because who knows? Like you literally could have. I mean, I would doubt it. I very much doubt that anybody is taking HGH, any kind of embolic steroid, but it could be happening. Who knows? Some guy, I'm not going to put any names in there because that's not fair. But I could be out there on tour right now on roids, just throwing further than I ever could. And a big thing about steroids, it has a lot less to do a lot of times with power and with recovery time.
Yeah.
So who knows? It would be good for the sport. It can't be bad to have the drug
I think
testing.
the tough part is it's going to be very expensive to do right. But I think the PDGA has kind of backed themselves into a corner now because with this rule and what they've done, they have to have drug testing. Essentially, there's no way around it. With this rule, you have to open that can of worms, and once you open it, might as well fully open it.
It's just part of having a professional sport.
Now, from the research the PDGA cited, I'm only looking at what the PDGA's article cited. From what they cited, it seems like the right decision was made, in my opinion. But they've had a lot of people questioning the science that they used and the process they went about coming to this decision. So people have been questioning the process. The process they went through and what they showed us of the process makes the decision make sense. But if the process was broken or the science they used was broken, then obviously the decision wouldn't make sense. But that's kind of where it's at. I mean, it was definitely, I said this on debate night, and I'll say it again, it was a lose-lose situation for the PDGA, I think, in a lot of cases.
And here's the thing is there are people that want a certain answer and people who wanted another answer, and no matter what decision you reach, there's always going to be questions if you didn't get the answer you wanted. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what process they use realistically. If you didn't get the answer you wanted, you're going to question the process.
Absolutely.
So it would be the flip side. It would be the flip side if the decision had gone the other way, for sure.
Now, pros since have been relatively silent, which I don't think is a huge shock considering the decision that was made and that the PDGA survey showed that 80% of touring FPO players anonymously said they were against transgender women competing with other women in disc golf. Natalie Ryan, however, has been outspoken against this decision. Realistically, it's changed the course of her entire life because she was in a place where next season she was probably going to bring in between sponsorship revenue, tournament earnings, all of that. I mean, realistically, probably over six figures.
Yeah, so she could have been a six-figure player.
Yeah, she was primed and in position to be one of the top FPO players of next season. And obviously now, unless something goes through with what she's trying to do, she won't be an FPO player next season. She won't be able to play on the FPO tour. So that is obviously a very, very tough moment. I would love to say I can sympathize and understand where she's coming from. There's no way to put myself in those shoes because I have no idea what she's going through. That's gotta suck so bad. I have no way to know that. But she told Ultiworld, she said, trans participation wasn't a problem until I was successful. That is a very true statement. But whoever was successful first, that was going to be.
Yeah, that was always going to be the case.
We even talked about, I don't know if we said it on debate night or Grip Lock where we said it, but
before,
as soon as someone started winning, that was when it was going to be a problem. Because it's the same thing of if in the Pro Tour, until someone starts winning on steroids, it's not going to be a problem.
And it doesn't, because it doesn't mean your winning didn't change the ethics of the situation. It made it to where it was a non-ignorable thing anymore. The PDGA probably always knew that something was going to have to be addressed, but it became you could not get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing with banned substances. If a pro came out and was just so obvious and hey, here's my list of the Liver King diagnosis, right? Of this is what I'm taking, right? And then they go out and just pop off and win everything. It forces the PDGA's hand. Yeah. That's essentially what's happened. But that statement's very true. Trans participation wasn't a problem until I was successful. I feel broken in the wake of these announcements, but one thing is clear to me. The decision was to force me off tour, not to make it more fair. The research they used to justify this is a joke, and the fact that they used public opinion to make policy is downright lazy at best. I'll prove their short-sighted hatred in court. So Natalie Ryan is planning on taking the PDGA to court, I believe a civil lawsuit. She started a GoFundMe to fight the policy and obviously to cover legal fees and stuff, and has raised over $10,000 so far as of this morning of her $20,000 goal.
I think you need a scorecard. Yeah,
oh.
Connor needs a scorecard. Quick, I'll comment. Yeah, I think that with this, her obviously she's heated. She's in a spot where who wouldn't be, but saying that the decision was to force me off the tour, not to make it more fair. I don't really agree with that because I think were forcing me off the tour to make it fair.
Well, I think the tough part
that was the issue, and it's another one of those things where like we said before, you being the first person, the first transgendered individual to be successful was always going to you're always going to have a target on your back because you raise the question, you basically bring it to attention. Now, like I would, and also I don't know. I looked at the research. It sure seemed credible, but obviously I'm not an expert on the science behind this. So, we'll see what happens. My thing is, and this is what I kind of said when I saw that she was pursuing action in court. Obviously, the Swimming Federation did a similar thing with the Leah Thomas situation, and as far as my knowledge goes, that has not been reversed. I think I would have heard about that one. And that obviously swimming is a much bigger and grander and more publicized sport, and that issue is very publicized. So if that decision hasn't been reversed in court, that's where I have a hard time believing that this one will be. However, I don't know, because like the PDGA is also
the difference is
private.
Was Leah Thomas, did it have anything to do with her livelihood?
Yeah,
she was an NCAA swimmer, I believe.
So this is like,
I don't know if
it's a discrimination thing, and it'll be because like courts. The thing about a court is like if you take this case to court, they're not going to care about the grand picture. What will happen, like if what I would imagine would happen is with the PDGA, the court would look at this individual, what the research the PDGA gathered in this individual decision, and then the decision they reached. And they're not going to say, well, PDGA, bring more research to back up your decision. They're only going to look at the decision that was made based on the research that was presented. And if they decide that was not just, the PDGA could still gather more research and make another decision Well, really, it depends on what court it ends up in. Yeah.
Because it depends on what the decision ends up being. But it'll be interesting to see.
Fascinating.
I think the thing of this decision was to force me off tour, not make it more fair. Where I, again, have to, not necessarily side, but I can understand where she's coming from, is that there is two different standards of like why it. Yeah. I can fully understand where looking at this. If I was in her shoes, I would think the same thing, because why would the PDGA have a different standard for the Pro Tour, what I'm playing on, than if I went to A tiers or if I was an AM or if I was in Pro Masters?
That is weird.
I don't understand that at all.
I think that was a mistake on the PDGA's part, for sure.
Yeah, and I just
don't understand it because
I don't get where it comes. I'm trying to understand where the logic would even be behind it.
The public reception to the decision, I don't think would have changed one bit had they decided it straight through.
Realistically, it probably would have been better, because then you wouldn't have had questions.
Right. So
the PDGA just left a bunch of questions on the table.
That was a very odd one. Yeah. That'll come back to bite them.
Now,
probably. That might be her best case, honestly.
Yeah. In her GoFundMe description, I don't think she had the best word choices at some point. You can go to GoFundMe and find it and read it. There's two quotes specifically I wanted to pull out just because I was kind of surprised by what she said. I think this was written in the heat of the moment, and there was a lot of emotions going on, and she probably either A, didn't mean it, or I have no idea. But these are the quotes. "The reality is that I'm not all that great, but I am good enough to win. And that alone scared people into believing I was some monster." Now, that quote to me, just from the outside looking in, is essentially what this whole case, the whole GoFundMe is to essentially challenge that she, Natalie Ryan, has any advantage, or transgender women in general have any advantage over the FPO field.
Right.
If I were to ask Kristen Tatar or Paige Pierce or someone else at the top FPO, I would imagine they would think they're pretty good at disc golf.
Yeah, it is weird to say that I'm not that great.
To say that I'm not that great, but I'm good enough to win, I think that really, like, if you're trying to prove that there's not an advantage, I don't think that line helps the case.
Probably not. Yeah, that's interesting.
I did not think that was the best case word. And then immediately following that sentence was, some of my fellow competitors decided they wouldn't work on their games and improve themselves, but instead tear me down because their games weren't complete. So
then she claims she is the best.
Well, also, I think this is the claiming of, like, basically saying the FPO field isn't willing to work to compete with me. So if this all goes through and Natalie Ryan is brought back to the FPO tour, I mean, this is going to be quite a story.
She has some enemies.
Because she is now, obviously there was already a target on her back. 80% of touring FPO players anonymously said they were against it. But now she's called them all out.
Yeah.
And not even really a roundabout way, because she basically just said, y'all aren't really willing to work on your own games and improve yourself. Which, I mean, this is more than likely, this GoFundMe went up pretty quick. This was more than likely written in a very emotional state because her whole livelihood was just taken from her. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to read into it too much, but those two sentences back to back, I read when I was reading through the GoFundMe description. I was like, I don't like those. I don't like those two sentences, those word choices.
Yeah. Well, it really, the thing is, like, if you wanted to handle this the most professionally and with your best chances, you really shouldn't say anything until you have a lawyer behind you. Because, like, that, I'm not an expert in anything legal. I took one kind of law class. But if you, what I do know is when something like this happens, a decision goes against you, the last thing you want to do is get emotional and start writing things down like that, because it can all be used against you in court. And I have no idea what kind of court this will end up in, but like things like that are stuff that judges and juries probably won't like to hear.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see where this goes. It'll be very interesting to see.
I don't know how it'll be tried, and I also don't even know what they're going to be suing for. I'm sure it'll be some kind of discrimination, and they'll probably sue for damages of like what she could have made in a season or whatever if she's not allowed to play. So it could be interesting.
It'll definitely be something that we said this on debate night, and I'm sure this is still true. This is far from the last we'll hear of this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And as we continue to hear more about it, and as this eventually goes to court, if it continues that direction, then we'll try to keep you updated as much as possible throughout it all.
Natalie Ryan v. the PDGA.
Yeah, Natalie Ryan, I mean, very, very, very tough situation to be in. There's no way around it. But she did on Instagram seem to know for quite a while this decision was coming. She hinted at it multiple times. I guess she must have had some type of inside source.
Probably the people from the board.
Yeah, that was it. She seemed to know for quite a while this was coming with a lot of her posts. She also even went and spoke in front at the board summit, and she said that when she walked in the room, it was obvious the decision was already made. Like she was basically talking to a crowd. That's funny though, because it
went 4-3. Like clearly there was.
Well, I think what it ended up being is that the 4 that voted for, you weren't changing their mind, and the 3 that voted against, you weren't changing their mind.
It might have been that way. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's kind of what she was saying. Is like it was one of those situations where it was like the PDGA said it took them like 11 hours or something of deliberation, but it was probably 11 hours of just like trying to figure out the policy. I'm betting that's where this 2 standards came in. Is they tried to, instead of coming up with something, because they weren't going to come up with something where everyone agreed to pass it. So instead they tried to come up with something where like the people who were voting against, like, okay, well, what would make you comfortable if we like, when it was like, well, no, set the policy and then vote.
Yeah.
And if it ends up being 4 against and 3 for, then it doesn't pass. That must
have been one of the craziest votes to be like in PDGA history to be a part of. Like that must have been crazy.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where this goes. I definitely think that Natalie Ryan's biggest argument point is the 2 different things. Because that just to me that shows that the PDGA, like there's I'm obviously no doctor or scientist or anything like that, but like you can read it both ways. If this is good enough for amateur majors, pro majors, and all PDGA sanctioned events, why isn't it good enough for FPO and Pro Tour or vice versa? If your top most important divisions are under this standard, then are you just saying that amateur majors, A tiers, and stuff like that just aren't? And the problem
is like if she sues on, if she's able to win a case on that, then in my mind the PDGA would still be able to just restructure their policy and re-implement it. Like she's gonna have to win a case with precedent based off of like legitimate discrimination and like have the court say that she should be allowed to play. Like not based on policy, but based on science. I feel like for PDGA to never be able to just re-implement the policy in a different way. Like that's the only thing that blocks that.
It'll definitely be very interesting. I have no idea how law.
I'll have to look and see if there's been cases regarding the swimming federation, because if there is, then that means there's already legal precedent. If there's legal precedent, if that's already gone to court and there's already precedent saying that it will stand for the right reasons, then like I'm gonna just do a quick. Could be an uphill battle.
Swimming Federation lawsuit.
I'm sure somebody tried to sue.
I'm gonna just Google it really quick and see.
This is when? June?
June of 2022.
Decision?
June, yeah.
So nothing's probably made it to court.
I don't see... The ban was challenged in a Utah lawsuit, but I don't know if it went... This was June 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see where... if a decision was made or anything like that. I don't know. There's definitely something to look into and definitely something to keep our eyes on. But on to a little bit of a more fun topic, a little Trevor's trivia. What do you got this week?
All right. So this week, kind of some geography, kind of not. Basically, there are 60 different countries that have at least one disc golf course.
Okay.
The timer it gives you is 15 minutes, but obviously we're not going to do that. So we're going to do... You set the timer. You set a timer for 3 minutes. We'll do 3 minutes. I feel like that'll be a good amount of time. Now, there are, quite a few countries that only have like 5 or less courses. I would say like half of these have like 5 or less.
There's 60
So
countries.
it is going to be tough, but there's 60 countries on here. On your mark, set, go.
USA, Canada, Mexico, Finland, China. Is China a country? Definitely.
China does not have one.
China doesn't have a disc golf course?
According to this list.
Bull crap. No shot. All of China doesn't have a single disc golf course.
That's what this list says.
We'll
fact check it. We'll fact check it.
Zambia. No, there's one there. I put it in.
Yeah, it's on there. They have the Zambia one, so I would think they would have a Zimbabwe.
I feel like I heard of a course going in there.
How do you spell that?
I'm not trying to spell on 11 there. He almost got me. Okay. We need to go more European countries, Hunter.
How do you spell Zimbabwe?
France.
France. Yes.
Italy.
Yes.
Russia has to have one.
Yeah.
Surely.
Apparently.
There's so many European countries that I am just offending. Estonia, by not knowing what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Iceland definitely has one.
Yeah. 51 of them.
Is Antarctica a country or just a continent? Because I know they have a course.
I think it might be both. No, it's not on here.
I've seen Innova posted about it.
Whose territory is that, though?
I don't know.
That's the
Probably
question.
no one's.
I don't know who's.
All right, we got to find some more European countries. There's a lot more in there. The Netherlands. That's a country, right?
Yeah, they got some.
We got to go. Colombia has one.
It's not on here yet. Must not. The Paul and Beth Foundation just put that in.
Can we just stop this timer?
They just put that in. We'll count it. But
China also.
We'll have to fact check that.
Japan.
There you go. I was waiting for you to get that one.
South Korea.
We will definitely fact check.
I mean, if there's not a course in
South
all
Korea
of China, what are we doing?
That would be crazy.
What haven't I named? There's so many in Europe.
You only got one of the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, well, I suck at that. Because I just call it Scandinavia.
There's 3 of them.
I got Estonia and Finland.
Well, Estonia is not technically
and the Netherlands.
One of the Scandinavian countries.
Does Romania have a course?
Neither is the Netherlands, but...
Does Romania have a course?
Yeah, it does. Also not Scandinavian.
I know.
There's like those
I'm not good at geography.
Like those 3 big
I got
fingers.
Italy, I guess England.
No.
Is that what you're trying to get me? What are you talking about?
In Scandinavia, England
Bro, I don't know
correct.
where Scandinavia is.
Finland is next to 2 other big countries. There's 2 other ones in Scandinavia.
How am I supposed to know that?
The other one's next to Finland.
I don't know. Estonia is the only other one I know over there.
Okay, that's fair. Time's about to run out.
Yeah, well, I'm searching China.
It's Sweden and Norway.
I didn't say Sweden?
No. You didn't.
I think at one point I said Swedish. Talking about something.
I got to look up how he spells Zimbabwe as well.
All right. Disc golf course in China. Should I just go to UDisc? Just go courses?
Oh, okay. I did spell it correctly, and it's not. It doesn't have one. Yeah, see, so you got 15, but we'll give you 16 for Colombia. And
yeah, there's courses in China. All over. There's one literally in Beijing. There's 2 in Chengdu.
I don't know what to tell you, man. These people didn't think.
Well, then I think the whole list is invalid.
Maybe.
Look, there's 20 courses in Shanghai.
Well, we'll give you the point for China.
All right. Well, now I've got to go over. What did I say? Zimbabwe.
I'm a little bit appalled for sure with the list.
Oh, I didn't say Australia.
It was last updated in April of this year, so
I think they're pushing an agenda.
It says all the countries listed have at least one disc golf course viewable on discgolfcoursereview.com.
Why are they using that?
Why are you using DGCR, man? Give it the time.
All right. Well, no wonder I did so bad.
Well, you only missed out on 2.
No. Oh, South Africa. How did I miss that one?
Is Antarctica a country? We have to figure that out too.
Zimbabwe.
Antarctica.
Where's the line? There is no course in Zimbabwe.
Antarctica does not have a unique continent in that it does not have a native population. There's no countries in Antarctica, although 7 nations claim parts of it: New Zealand, Australia, France. So
there's not a course in Zimbabwe.
Okay, well, I'll give you the one for Colombia and China, and that puts you at 17. You got 17.
Yeah, but we also have to factor in the amount of time I stood bewildered that they didn't have China on.
I mean, that's your fault. You just got caught up.
Oh, no, it's Disc Golf Course Review's fault.
That is true. DGCR, man.
I think we just outed
Rolls
them.
off the tongue, though. DGCR.
A lot better than UDisc.
UDisc.
Disc Golf Course Review.
Does DGCR even have an app? I don't even know if they ever got one.
I don't think so.
I used to use that because I used to you could put like your bag in there.
Back in the day, I think they had like a scorekeeping.
See, DGCR was like they actually kind of had a social platform to it, and I remember asking the UDisc guy if they would ever kind of get to that point, and he said they didn't think that they would.
They had everything they needed to be UDisc prior to UDisc.
Except for
they just didn't adapt.
They didn't build an app. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They just didn't adapt.
And the course mapping that UDisc has is pretty insane.
But did they have that when they first launched?
That was like the point. But they did it for just Minnesota.
Yeah.
But that was like the point of the app was course mapping.
But I'm saying Disc Golf Course Review, like they had all the info. They just need to build an app.
They had it all there. The database was there.
Like, I mean, the owner of Disc Golf Course Review's got to be kicking himself.
That's the thing. But yeah, I mean, they probably just weren't like ridiculously good app developers like the UDisc guys were. That's what they did.
You just had to hire someone.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Woulda, shoulda, coulda,
Yeah.
A little off-season player tracking. A lot went down this past week. We had Anthony Barella, the big dog, announcing he is leaving Innova.
Makes me very sad.
We also had Scott Withers announce he's leaving Discraft.
Like, good luck finding another disc that handles that man's speed, man.
And James Proctor has also announced he's leaving Innova. What do you feel like? So this year, I feel like a lot more than previous years. We've seen a lot more players announce they're leaving and then just leave us waiting before they announce where they're going.
That is weird.
What do you like of that? Do you like that model or you don't like that model? I kind of like it.
Yeah, well,
because I feel like it generates more hype. Because like right now, we're gonna talk about where is James Proctor going.
Well, oh yeah, from a marketing standpoint, it's a no-brainer. You definitely want a gap in there. Now, it is interesting because last week we were talking about the whole contract and like when they run type thing, and people were, because the point was the Lone Star guy Josh was making was that like they run January to the end of the year, and so why would a player be able to announce they're leaving a company?
Well, because he was saying that players were saying they can't even talk to people. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which that's just not true. I either he misspoke or something happened because
I think he got finessed.
Most of these contracts are being signed well before the end of the year. Actually, all of them that I know of are being signed well before. I mean, they've even signed people that they're announcing in January, so they're doing negotiating.
Listen, man, don't shoot the messenger.
I'm just saying. But I kind of like it. I like it because it generates hype where there might not otherwise be hype. I think it's similar to like the leak strategy.
Oh, I'd much rather have it happen because if it doesn't happen this way, we're not going to hear anything until January. And like at least this way we get some news.
Well, like last year, Matty O, if you remember, Westside posted, or no, Prodigy posted thanking Matty O and said, "I hope you enjoy your time at Westside." Basically,
that was savage, dude. They had to know what they were doing. That was
someone knew.
Savage.
Someone knew, but like that was a pretty common thing previously. Is like the post was like AB's post would have been, let's say he's going to Discraft. His post would have been like, super excited to announce for 2023 that I'll be representing Discraft. It would have been like one hype moment. Versus now we have he's leaving Innova, and who knows?
I will say though, it would have been an absolute bomb, an absolute quake if that thing would have just
But
dropped
like now
like
we
that.
have a few weeks. Like Paige Shue is still a storyline because we still don't know where she's going to end up.
It's way better for player marketing for sure because like now
I think it depends on your tier because I don't know. I might flip it because
it doesn't depend on your tier though because if you pick the right time because we're out here going to be talking about Scott Withers.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on tier because like AB is a storyline regardless.
Yeah.
So if AB just comes out and announces he's going to Discraft, he's a big hype. Scott Withers and
like,
James Proctor, like they're nowhere near as big storylines. Like if James Proctor came out,
Proctor had a few good events.
Sure, but he's still not going to tour. As far as I know, he said before he just loves his job too much. Basically,
You gotta quit, man.
I think he's like a special ed teacher. So
All right, you gotta stay.
yeah, but
No, that's Scott Withers. I thought.
No, I'm pretty sure it's James Proctor.
What does Scott Withers do?
Plays disc golf, man.
No, I thought he did something like kind of humanitarian too. That was
He
really
might.
cool.
I don't know. It's those Pacific Northwest guys.
Love you, Scott.
But them both, this has generated more hype than just an announcement would. Like if James Proctor just came out and said he's going to DD next season, like it's a talking point.
Yeah,
but
like there's
it's
two
not,
acts to the play here.
Versus Anthony Barella, it might have made bigger news if he just dropped the bomb on people. Of like, boom, I'm just
out of nowhere.
Like you don't even. It's not even on your radar that he's leaving Innova, like, and then boom.
Yeah, I would say it's like if you're a big enough player and you have years left on your contract where nobody thinks you're a free agent, then maybe you just go for the bomb drop. Crazy.
Yeah. Where do you think they all end up? Let's do some speculation here. AB. Let's start with him. The big dog, the big fish in the pond right now. I gotta say, I think he's going Discraft.
Yeah.
I think it makes the most sense.
I would say he's either going to Discraft or he is going to Latitude 64. Because I just think they have money.
Imagine how far you could throw if you went gyro.
Dude, imagine. I would say that Withers.
Where's the least likely place? Let's stick on AB for a second. Where's the least likely place he ends up?
This is how I end up in a putter bet. Least likely place that AB, within reason.
Innova.
Yeah. Least likely, I would say, is Prodigy, probably, just because I think they've got their hands full with young talent. So,
well, like I can almost see it. I can almost see them
unless they're like buying in on that. But like, I just feel like they have so much money they're gonna have to spend.
Yeah.
Because I have a hunch that Gannon Burr is going to sign a massive extension this offseason. I think
this is when he should.
Yeah. I think the man is going to get the bag.
Yeah,
and it better happen now, or else he's going to get tossed out. Because
next season is going to be everyone's going to be talking. Everyone's probably already talking.
Yeah, if you're Prodigy, you better lock that dude down.
No, I agree. I think I could see AB going Prodigy. I think least likely place for AB to end up is Dynamic Discs.
Yeah, I would.
I think they already got their money tied up and stuff.
Enough.
He's good friends with Drew Gibson, who left Dynamic and then told everyone the discs were too flippy. So I feel like if you're AB, you're probably not going there.
Dynamic. Even though that is BS, dude. You ever throw an adder? Thing's not gonna flip.
I for some reason I feel like AB is going to Discraft.
Yeah, I think so too.
And Discraft's gonna have a dirty team. Hammes, AB, Paul, Dickerson, Corey Ellis, Brody Smith.
Yeah, their team's gross.
List goes on and on. That's a filthy team.
Minus Scott Withers.
Where is Scott Withers going?
Innova.
I don't think he's going to be sponsored. I think he's either going infinite disc route or someone responded something that's like he's tied to like Resistance, who Resistance Disc just sells Discraft in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
And someone commented something. He said, oh, so he's done with Resistance. And then someone responded something and then deleted it and said, actually, I should let them drop their own news.
So maybe it's just a retail deal?
So maybe what I'm wondering is like maybe it's a retail deal and maybe Resistance is like able to carry all brands in their pro shop up there or something. I don't know.
Well, I was saying retail deal like Resistance Discs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it goes there.
Yeah.
Because if he's currently with them, he would just stay with Discraft because Resistance only carries Discraft right now.
Facts.
So that's what I'm saying, like for a change to happen. Or he signs like an infinite deal.
Maybe he got dropped.
He could sign like an infinite deal. That's also a possibility too.
He just got dropped. Like,
maybe he just got, well, I feel like he wouldn't post on his own that he's leaving.
People be savages.
James Proctor, where's he ended up?
James.
I mean, they could just be the old swapperoo. He goes to Discraft, replaces Scott Withers.
No, I would say MVP.
He's been with DD. No, he hasn't been with DD before. I could see him with DD.
MVP, baby. Double James.
Yeah, that also would work. For some reason, James Proctor DD just feels right.
See, I'm the same way with MVP. When I say James Proctor plays for MVP, it's like he's already been there for 15 years in my mind.
Has he ever played for DD before?
I don't know.
No, because
he's always been an Innova guy.
Because he won college nationals and he did it in the bag, and it was an Innova in the bag. Way back. But like, I feel like he's been with dynamic discs. Remember how fun last offseason was when you'd like search and Dynamic already had Ricky's website page up, and then they like tried to act like they didn't, so they just made play pages for like every pro out there. That was fun.
Hey, that was what?
You don't remember that?
No.
How do you not remember that?
I must have been gone for that episode of Grip Lock.
They sent us a link of like how they knew Ricky was going to DD, and they had already had his.
I think I remember that part, but I don't remember the part of them making one for every pro.
Yeah, so they didn't do it for every single one, but after that, like originally just Ricky's was like would show you that it loaded, and then once they realized that they had messed up, then if you search like dynamicdisc.com/Paul Macbeth, there was suddenly a page, and there was suddenly a page for like every pro because they tried covering it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was very funny. I just was thinking that when I was searching James Proctor Dynamic Disc, if like a blank page popped up, I'd just be like, well, is this from last year when they made them all, or is this year? I don't know. I just feel like DD makes sense for Proctor. And then I also had someone tweet at me, extremely confident that Emerson Keith was going to Lone Star. I quote tweeted him, asked what the people thought of the move, if it were to happen, and he deleted his tweet after I quote tweeted, and then also responded to my tweet claiming that his tweet was reported. His original tweet.
Whoa.
So who knows what the heck happened, but Lone Star has been teasing that come January, they've got some names dropping, some new people coming.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
They've teased that on Twitter a bunch, and Emerson Keith, this guy said, like, if you have any questions on how I know this, my DMs are open. I didn't DM him.
Emerson said that?
No, this guy who tweeted me.
Oh, on how he knows, so he thinks he has a leak?
He basically's like, he was willing to like guarantee Emerson was going to Lone Star.
I don't know anything. I talked to Lone Star guy. I
think Emerson to Lone Star would make sense because Texas-based guy, Texas-based brand. Emerson Keith, he's a similar vibe of Nico, where I think you can get a very solid player at a discounted rate because Emerson hasn't had that great of a year recently. He had that run in 2019 Worlds, was it? Yeah, the Peoria Worlds.
Yeah.
And
Emerson can be good.
He got a solid deal with Latitude the next year. That deal is up this year, so he is a free agent. Lone Star could make sense for Emerson. I don't know how good he'd be with their discs. I'm trying to think of his play style, but
they've got. I mean, their lineup is pretty balanced. I feel
they'll probably. I'm sure with Nico and Chandler Kramer and whoever else they end up signing in January that they keep teasing, I'm sure they'll release some new molds next year too.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting to see.
They can turn them out fast, that's for sure, because they have their own CNC milling. They can crank them out, and they have all the material from the oil rig stuff. If you want to know more about Lone Star, I interviewed Josh Hofstra.
I was just checking the time to make sure we have our memory card only has so much space on it. And I was like, how close are we?
That is a respectful.
We're fine. We're fine. We've got time to talk through this Ultiworld fandom survey.
This survey I feel like slipped under the cracks a little bit. This is fascinating. Usually this is the type of survey like we would immediately get a text from Brody about, like, because it's so interesting.
Yes, this came out December 15th.
I don't think we did.
Which pros do we root for and against? So they sent out the survey. You can actually find more details on the survey, how many people took it, and all of that. And they're going to be releasing like a series of statistics from this survey they sent out.
I can't wait.
But this one was just about like what people think of players. And so it shows essentially they did an average fandom score. So they had people rank of like, they had every player, and you could vote essentially, I want to say it was like 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How much 10 being you love them, 1 being I guess you strongly dislike them. Then they averaged their scores to create this fandom list of FPO and MPO players combined of how much people are beloved by the fans.
I think this list is an interesting list, and if you look at it for yourself, like Kristen's the top name, right?
Yeah.
So the list is interesting because I don't necessarily, it doesn't reflect who are the most popular players. It reflects who are the most universally popular, and also in that same sense, it's really who are the least polarizing players. Because,
to a certain extent, yeah.
To a certain extent, because like, for instance, Kristen Tatar, nobody's really rooting against a player like Kristen Tatar, right? She's very like quietly spoken, humble, like you're not going to like get that survey and be like, oh yeah, I'm always rooting against Kristen. Maybe unless you're like the biggest Paige Pierce fan of all time. But even then, so like this list, you'll see a lot of like players, even like a Paul Macbeth, who is obviously the most popular MPO player on the planet. He's further down the list because there are a lot of guys who are anti-Macbeth fans. Even because he is so popular though, he probably, if you took this survey and there was a way to just calculate who has the most fans. Well, there is. It's called Instagram followings. But like that's where it's interesting is that you really get a view of like who are the more polarizing players.
Yeah. Well, so there's a few notes that I found surprising.
There are some fascinating ones.
I think the top people here, not surprising at all. You have Kristen Tatar 1, Simon Lizotte 2, Nate Sexton 3.
Just like likable. It's
Calvin
like who are the most
Heimberg.
likable players, basically.
Yeah, Calvin Heimberg, Matteo, Owen Scoggins, James Conrad, Valley Mandahano. So that's like, once you get to the Val Mandahano line, really even the James Conrad and Owen Scoggins line, it starts to get a little bit more like...
It's very even.
They're clearly somewhat polarizing. Paul has a relatively high score. Paul's actually above Eagle in relatively high score, 7.29.
He's just such an overwhelming amount of fans.
Some of the surprising ones come at the bottom to me. So towards the bottom, Gannon Burr's down here at 6.07.
What?
Yeah.
See, that one shocks me because Gannon Burr is very quiet on the course.
Yeah, so Gannon Burr's down here. Ricky Wysocki, 6.03.
He's a little more polarizing. Like, he's expressive. I can get that.
To give you...
and there's the Paul fans all will vote against Ricky.
To give you a little bit of a, like, okay, what does that really mean? Brody Smith's a 5.96.
Yeah, Brody actually holds up pretty nice in the poll.
So Brody and Isaac Robinson have basically the same score.
Yeah, that's another... Like, I think some players also get hurt by name... recognition because like Isaac Robinson, if you follow disc golf passionately, which I guess if you're taking this survey, I'd hope you follow it decently. But like Isaac Robinson, what do you not like about that guy? I don't know. I mean, it's sport. At the end of the day, like I realize it is sports fandom. It's not like do you like him as a person? Yeah. So I'd almost be curious. Like I wish I had that survey so I could have taken it to compare my results. I guess because like. And my opinion has changed a lot on certain players. Like if you had asked me in 2016, like Ricky Wysocki's getting a 1. But like nowadays, I'd probably give him like a 3 or 4 because like I can kind of cheer on Ricky, even though I'm like a massive Ricky fan. Like I can get behind Ricky. I might even give him a higher score. I might even be closer to a 5. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what I would even score people.
So at the very bottom of the list, you find Sir Nico LaCastro. Not really a surprise.
No
there.
shocker.
But directly above him, you have Joel Freeman, 3.7. Nico had a 3.2.
I mean, that makes sense.
Directly above him, Natalie Ryan.
I like Joel, but the posts he makes on social media can rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, so then you go up to Natalie Ryan, and you go Adam Hammes, 5.08. A lot lower than I expected.
Yeah.
And then some other ones. So Bradley Williams is right above Adam Hammes.
That's an interesting one.
I think some of it is like a lot of people have been around disc golf a long time. They might still have a
but
stigma
also,
around Bradley.
I think too, there's a lot of players like a Bradley Williams who are just probably getting a bunch of 5s. Just 5.
But you can scroll down here and see, because I think the next player is 100%, you're right. Emily Beach is next. And I think that's just a player that people, Andrew Fish, if you scroll down and look, he was a similar way. There's a lot of people that just like don't have an opinion on Fish. Drew Gibson, though, 5.64. So if you go down here, you can actually see like the polarity of these players.
Yeah, really, I would just want to know like who has the most in like that 1 through 3. Like,
so Nico, by far, most ones. Mm-hmm. Almost 40% of people voted 1. Isaac Robinson was getting a lot of 5s. Joel Freeman had a decent amount of 1s.
The most interesting chart on here actually is who has the highest on the ends and the lowest in the middle. Like who has a valley. Like it looks like a half pipe. That's what you want to see because those are the guys that are...
Brody Smith is basically just consistent across.
That's interesting. I would expect him to be one of those half pipe guys.
His biggest ones is like around a 6. There's no real half pipes.
That's interesting. So that means there basically is no true you love them or hate them players in disc golf according to... Well, this survey is obviously a small sample.
Yeah.
But according to the survey...
Simon has like 60% 10s. Like 60% people.
There's no love them or hate them players. Really.
Let me scroll. So that's MPO. No real love them or hate them. A lot of like Albert Tam, Vino Makala, Alden Harris, Andrew Fish, Bradley Williams. All of those guys are getting heavy 5s. So that's why Nicholas Antela.
Alden Harris, man, what a sweet guy.
That's why they're just getting and Isaac Robinson.
Give a man a 10.
And a lot of guys just getting 5s. So that's kind of where they fall down there.
All those prodigy guys are 10s.
FPO. We got Kristen Tatar, she doesn't have her 1, 2, 3, 4 are all 0%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you hate Kristen Tatar? Like, what would she possibly have done to you?
Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, both just like level across pretty much. Trying to see if there's anyone surprising down here. Kona Panis has like a little bit of a like middle spike. Like,
yeah, nobody has that half pipe though. That's very
Natalie
interesting.
Ryan is the closest. She had a lot of 1s and a lot of 5s.
Yeah.
Not a lot of 9s.
So she kind of has that.
So she has a little bit of the half pipe, but not really. No one has the U. There's no, like, if you were to draw a line chart on this, no one's making a U.
I want one of those. I want a job where, or like the stock analysis or analyst people do, where they name the data charts. They name the patterns. Like, I want to be the guy that gets to name the patterns.
Name these people's patterns. Well, so it'll be
like,
very curious.
That's a yo-yo right there. Get out. Get out with your money.
Oh, so here's who is your favorite player? Question. FPO, MPO.
Oh.
So this was asked to everyone. Number 1 was Simon Lizotte. He beat Paul by 37 votes. Number 2 was Paul Macbeth.
People be loving Simon.
Number 3 was Heimberg. 4 was Tatar. 5 was Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, Nate Sexton, James Conrad, Matty O, Kevin Jones, Owen Scoggins, Chris Dickerson, Barsby, Paige Pierce, Brody Smith.
Barsby.
I think that's everyone who got votes. Either that or they didn't show people below. Brody got 16 votes. So they might not have shown people below. But so that shows like the true, like who's the most popular.
Don't underestimate Simon. Man is popular.
Simon's a wagon.
He is a wagon.
Like Simon to Heimberg, almost twice as popular.
One-time grippy winner too.
True. Yeah. But yeah, so that was a very fascinating little article, and I'm excited to see what
cool. I can't wait to see what else they get.
Does with the rest. It was an Ultiworld Statmando collab.
Statmando, I'll tell you what, Statmando has started making Sporkle quizzes.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, God bless them. I love Statmando. I'll do anything for Statmando.
They didn't make the one we did today, right?
We're going to do a Statmando collab on my putter bracket and talk about the data, the deep data.
The deep data. Yeah. All the voices that were silenced.
Yeah.
Dive deep into that. All right, well, there you have it. That's the show. Hopefully you enjoyed. Comment down below how you think we should structure our putter punishment bracket. Like, how many videos would you want to see us have to putt with the punishment putter?
Yeah, and keep in mind that it depends on the video, because like if it's like in most videos, it basically means you're gonna know who's gonna win before we go into it.
Not necessarily. It depends on the putter.
You know it's gonna get. You know it like the one that's gonna get voted though is gonna make the blowfly.
But like I feel like I could get on a streak with the blowfly. I think I could.
You're losing like 4 strokes around.
No. You know how bad of a putter I am?
Over 18 holes, you're losing at least 4
I don't even make 4
strokes
putts around.
Real time. You have an 18-hole tournament round and you're putting with the blowfly. How many strokes do you lose because of the blowfly? 18-hole round.
It depends. Like I honestly think I get streaky with it.
No practice.
I think I get streaky with the blowfly.
How many strokes do you lose? Simple question.
You get streaky with your normal putter. On average, I think 2 to 3. But I think worst case, probably like 5 or 6. Best case, I gain. Because there's going to be some.
Because you're not making anything outside of 30 feet. The putter's going to be flopping around.
The blowfly's not as floppy as you think.
Oh, I know it is.
It's not as floppy as like the koi and stuff.
And throw it.
But it's not. It's like the koi and like the new plastic.
I think it's not as bad.
We have some on the shelf.
I don't think you remember how bad it is.
But the thing with it is like no one expects anything of you with it. And so I think that can make me dangerous.
It depends on because the thing is, at the end of the day, if the putter was like the Stego, that's really not going to hurt me that bad from inside of 30 feet.
I think the worst case scenario is the turbo putter.
But once again, it's a solid object. It's when you get to the floppy ones, that's where it hurts.
I guess the worst. Okay, so the worst one is a koi in the their floppiest plastic.
Yeah, I'd be
because that holds onto your hand.
I'd be useless with that. Can't putt with that thing. You got to be able to throw that thing fast.
No, because the blowfly's got some density. You could putt with that better than you think. You could putt with it better than you think, I think.
I don't know, man. I'm going to try it out.
We're going to do a blowfly putt off. All right, that's the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoy. We'll talk to you next week.